Now, what's up in Minnesota for September 11th? This is from August 14th through September 10th. We're going to start off with updates. We got 4 updates to show you, updates on 4 different cases. So these are cases that I've shown you before, and they weren't completed at the time, and now they've been completed. So this took place on August 10th, case number 117230 at 5:28 p.m. A cigar shape was seen in Faribault County. Cigar-shaped ship with lights. So they were flying a radio-controlled airplane when they first saw the object and lined to where the airplane was flying. Quickly landed the airplane and watched a chrome cigar-shaped UAP moving very slowly from southern sky to northern sky, about 35 degrees in elevation, facing east. It appeared to move in a straight line and constant altitude, estimated to be half to 1 mile away, approximately 10 to 15,000 feet. It was big. An identical UAP, or the same UAP, was seen again, flying again, south to north, same altitude, same level degree of elevation, distance, speed, same as the first UAP. And for those of you who don't know, UAP is a more common acronym for it's unidentified aerial phenomenon. It's kind of replacing UFO. So when someone says UAP, they basically mean UFO. So if you're not familiar with UAP, that's what they're saying. They're basically saying a UFO. Again, saw the same lights at the same point I had seen on the first sighting. And they drew a picture, and I don't know if I included the picture last time, so I got the picture for you this time. And Bill McNeff was working on this. And so here's the picture that they provided. So August 10th, 2021, 5:28 to 5:40. Same objects, how there's 2 lights into 1 light, and they're facing east. They saw this great big object flying by. And Bill McNeff, I can see your face right now. If you want to comment on this, wave to me and I'll unmute you. Okay, I don't see you waving, so I'm assuming you don't have a comment. So, okay. So yeah, so Bill McNeff has completed this. This is Half Moon Park in Wells, Minnesota. So that's the field, the horizon line. Really good drawing. I really appreciate the drawing that he gave us on this. So Bill's completed it as an unknown UAV. Here's the segments of Bill's finding. The witness wrote a careful and detailed account and confirmed it by his interview. He also furnished an excellent sketch showing the 2 cylinders and the lights. He estimated the length to be 101 to 300 feet and the distance to be 501 feet to a mile. These estimates are in remarkable agreement, and the accuracy of the witness estimates is apparent. And in that parts I cut out, he's taken different sizes, and Bill put a lot of calculations in there. That's how he got to the accuracy of this, but I didn't want to put in all that detail in there. So based on the interview, the data, and the sketches, we're giving this the disposition of this case, unknown UAV. So a UAV is unidentified aerial vehicle. So thank you, Bill McNeff, for that. Give Bill McNeff a big round of applause. So thank you, Bill, for your work on that case. Case number 116032-U took place on May 22nd of this year at 8 a.m. An oval was seen in St. Paul. Driving home, they saw an unusual light. On the way home from friends, about a block from her home, they looked right and left before turning. Out of periphery, noticed the light, got excited, thinking it was a comet. Then kind of thought, why would I see a comet so brightly here? So pulled into a pollution area. So curious. So I'm going to move on because we have looked at this case before. It was completed information only. So Bill's notes on this, not Bill McNeff, Bill Andig or William Andig. As of July 20th, the reporting party has not responded to emails requesting a telephone interview. Try contacting by phone next. And as of August 14th, continues to be no response from the witness. Messages left advising her to let me know if she wants to continue and have gone unanswered. So, and I think this is important to note too, because it's easy to go, okay, they're not responding, they're not answering calls, they don't want to be interviewed. It's easy to kind of go, well, they must be lying, they must be making it up, it must be a fake, bogus, phony case. And that's not necessarily true, and it's not necessarily fair. A lot of times when people submit cases to MUFON, they don't think that we do anything with them. They think it goes into a database and just sits there. It can be very surprising or discerning when someone calls them on the phone or sends them an email, says, hey, I want to talk to you about this. And it can set some people off a little bit, and some people kind of go, you know what, I've said my piece, I've said enough, I don't want to talk anymore, I just kind of want to keep quiet about it. So just because they're not responding, that does not add or take away from the credibility of the witness or the sighting. I just wanted to point that out. So thank you, Bill, for your work on that case. So case number 116031-U took place on August 29th of 1994. A disc was seen in Bloomington, orange disc above trees at night. Kathy Blixrud was working on this one. They were driving home around 11 p.m. or either 1994 or 95 with 2 sleepy children in the back seat by Minnesota Bluffs Drive, passing Quail Ridge Play Lot on my right. Above the tree, she saw a disc-shaped orange thing emitting light from its perimeter. So, and Kathy completed this as unknown UAV. So here's some segments from Kathy's findings. So first, the witness said the sighting was in 94 or 95. So using historical data from the Sioux Falls Airport, The information she put in the field is from 94. Didn't find any comparable reports for that year. The direction she viewed object was over a 90-degree bend in the Minnesota River. Could not find any current structures or airfields there. 1994 was a Monday. 1995 was a Tuesday. So we're clear on the August 29th. It's just the year that we're not. That's why she's not if it's a Monday or a Tuesday. Minneapolis Airport, State Fairgrounds, Valley Fair, Mystic Lake casinos are all in a different direction from where the witness was looking. Witnesses say they were driving south to go home. They gave the home as Pelican Rapids, which is north. They may have moved since the sighting, so that might be why there's a discrepancy there. She's awaiting a response to email requesting a phone interview. Until then, she's going to call this a disposition unknown UAV, as it was structured and not a terrestrial object or astronomical object. And that's an important thing to note too. The case is completed, and I've said this before, even though the case is completed, MUFON never looks at a case as completely completed, if that makes sense. In other words, if more information comes to light or more information or details are added, we can always go back into the case, we can add details, and we can change the disposition if that's necessary. So thank you very much, Kathy, for your work on that. We certainly appreciate it. And case number 116631-U took place on February 2nd, 2020. Wow, look at all those twos. At 11:11 a.m. At 11:11, wow, lots of multiple numbers. Cigar was seen in Minneapolis doing a maneuver. A large metallic cigar was over downtown, which always gets my attention because there should be a lot of people seeing it. And sometimes there's not. So why is that? And there's good questions and answers around that. So they were looking out their living room window when they first spotted what they thought to be a plane about to crash in the downtown Minneapolis skyscrapers, thinking it was 9/11 all over again. Coincidence, we're reviewing this one today. Notice the plane had no wings, no tail, no windows, no letters, no colors, gray, silver, metallic tube, symmetrical with brief rounded ends and moving slowly at first. So Bill was working on that, and Bill's conclusion was this is an unknown UAV. So here's some segments of Bill's findings. The witness estimates the actual size and distance are consistent with his estimates of apparent size. The witness checked both penny and golf ball for apparent size. And so what that means is, as they're looking at something, if you see something that's very far away, it's obviously smaller than it really is. So you're trying to compare what that size would be. Are you looking at something that's like a penny at arm's length or like a golf ball at arm's length to kind of give us the size? The object was over Nicollet Island. The center of the island is 2,000 feet from the witness. This is a remarkable agreement. So, and Bill again had more details and calculations in the middle there that kind of validated all this stuff, showing the accuracy of the witness. In search of a case, related cases involving the cigar shape and a silver chrome color in case 106157, which occurred on January 29th, 2020, which was just a few days before this. Because remember, this was February 2nd, 2020. In Littleton, Colorado, a witness estimated the actual size of the object as 100 feet, the same as the witness in this case. The size estimate and the closeness of these cases time-wise can be considered as supporting this case and a conclusion of unknown in this case. I made 4 attempts to make contact with the witness but received no response. Disposition unknown UAV. Bill, thank you for checking all those other cases in Littleton, Colorado. Nice work in finding that. So good job, Bill. Bill McNuff, give him a big round of applause. That's why he's the chief investigator, because he knows how to do all that stuff. So. All right, I think we're into our new cases. Yes, we got 7 new cases to talk about today. Submission date range was August 14th through September 5th. So it's been a couple days since we have a sighting come in. Now the date range, they're all current sightings. So the sightings were from May 16th of this year through September 5th of this year. So no cases of interest, no RIDRC cases. But we're going to see 2 circles, 1 sphere, 2 others, 1 star-like, and 1 unknown. And let's go over our valet classification. So valet classification is one of the ways we categorize cases. And you remember Jacques Vallée, when I talked about Jacques Vallée being at Star Wars? These classifications are named after that guy. So when I talk about these classifications are named after him. So we're going to see CE1, and CE stands for close encounter. So a close encounter of the first kind. And MUFON defines a close encounter of the first kind as class of objects seen on the ground or at a short distance to the observer. The next one, we're going to see 1 FB1. So FB stands for flyby. So it's a flyby of the first kind. And MUFON defines that as a simple sighting of a UFO flying by in the sky, the category most frequently reported. We're going to see 4 AN1. So AN stands for anomaly. And an AN1 is defined as anomalies that do not have lasting physical effects, such as amorphous lights or unexplained explosions. We're going to see 1 MA1. So an MA, that stands for maneuver. And a maneuver of the first kind gathers those UFO observations that involve an object with a discontinuous trajectory, such as a drop, maneuver, or a loop. So those are what we're going to see today. And actually, before we get into that, I'm going to spend a little bit of extra time on valet classifications because I've been thinking about this for a while, and I think it's important to note because remember, one of our goals is to educate the public, and one of the things that's been very common I hear a lot of talk about lately is CE5s and CE5 events, and I think this is worth discussing because we have a common language does not mean everyone is using the same definition. So for CE5s, I've come across 3 definitions that are being commonly used. When people talk about a CE5 event, they're usually talking about an event that Stephen Greer has worked up or has designed or set the protocols for. And here's how Stephen Greer defines a CE5. And he may have another definition, but this is just one that I found. So he defines it as human initiated contact and or communication with extraterrestrial life. Sounds simple enough. Now, MUFON has a CE5 as well, but we define our CE5 a little bit differently. We define it as encompasses cases of close encounters in which the witnesses have suffered permanent injuries or other physiological effects, including death. Now, Stephen Greer's CE5s are generally considered to be friendly and human initiated. The MUFONs aren't necessarily human initiated, and of course, death would not be something that you would consider friendly or or even permanent injuries in that. So so those 2 CE5s are not the same CE5s. And then I was looking at Military Encounters with Extraterrestrials by Frank Josephs. We talked about that recently. He actually lists CE5s too, and his definition of CE5 is different from both of them. So his CE5 is direct communication between extraterrestrials and humans. So similar to Greer's, not necessarily as similar to MUFON's. And notice there's no death in his CE5. But he also identifies a CE6, which MUFON does not identify a close encounter of the 6th kind. So he identifies or defines a close encounter of the 6th kind as death of a human or animal associated with a UFO or extraterrestrial sighting. So MUFON includes death in CE5. Joseph's doesn't include it until CE6. That's where death comes in. So there's some more discrepancies or differences there. So, and he also describes a close encounter of the 7th kind, which he defines as creation of human-alien hybrid being either by direct sexual reproduction or by artificial scientific methods. And he also defines a close encounter of the 8th kind. MUFON doesn't have these. He defines an 8th kind as military confrontations between human combatants and extraterrestrials. So just notice that he has death in CE6. We have death in CE5. Stephen Greer CE5. There's no death in any of that. So it's a common term that's being thrown around a lot, and the definitions are not consistent. So I'm not making anybody wrong. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just trying to raise the awareness that because someone is saying CE5, they may not be talking about the same thing. So hopefully you'll find that interesting, useful, and I didn't put too many of you to sleep. So let's move on to our cases. We've got 7 cases to look at. So we got case number 117768-U. This took place on August 14th, 2021 at 10:07 p.m. A circle was seen, an anomaly in Owatonna. It was a giant orange was flying through the sky, and it looked like it had another force around it flying, and then it just disappeared. Their detailed description was, me and my friend were walking around, and we looked to the east and saw a huge ball in the sky that was glowing, kind of like an orange going north, but it was flying like a plane, but then it suddenly disappeared out of nowhere, and that's all we saw. This was assigned to Peter Collins, and this has not been completed yet. And I'm trying to think if there's any attachments to this. So they did send a video. They attached a video for this, and I've tried to download it to add the video, and I can't get it pulled up. So I put the slide in here to remember, because when the case closes, when we come back to it again, if I can get the video, I'll show the video to you next time. But they included a video of what this orange was that was flying, and I just wasn't able to get that for you. So case number 117754-U took place on September 5th, 2021 at 1:30 a.m. A sphere was seen in Fridley. And so in this, I've talked about the short descriptions and long descriptions and how people put in very different things. This is exactly what they put in as their short description at 1, which of course doesn't tell us a whole lot, but their detailed description was at 1:30 a.m. I observed a small plane going in circle repeatedly. Naturally, I was curious as to what the occupants were observing. Shortly thereafter, I observed a huge green ball of light. Now remember, 1:30 a.m. Seeing a plane flying at 1:30 a.m. is pretty unusual right off the bat there, which looked to be about 60 degrees in elevation from my viewpoint. It was difficult to estimate how far away it was due to lack of known landmarks, which could have been used for reference. The light remained stationary for about 45 minutes while the small plane continued to circle the circular flight pattern. Then the object turned color from green to fiery red. Less than 5 minutes later, the object darted south at an amazing speed and suddenly stopped. Then it proceeded to descend at a rate much faster than a helicopter would. I'm used to flying in helicopters, having served in the U.S. Army. So that military background does lend some credibility and some credence to the sighting. So I lost sight of the object behind nearby treetops. The small plane continued to hold the same circular pattern for another 30 minutes until 2:45 a.m. and William Andig was assigned this one. I think Bill is on the call, but it's just assigned, so I'm guessing that he doesn't have anything to report. Bill, if you do have something to report or you want to add, shoot me a text and hopefully I'll see it in the text box and I can unmute you so you can give a comment. But I'm guessing at this point you've got no comments on that one. So. Case number 117588-U took place on May 16, 2021 at 1 a.m. Shape is an other, FB1, so flyby in Plymouth. Bright, slow-moving object in sky with tail. The detailed description was very bright and large, white light object in the sky with very long tail, always moving in the same direction, but would disappear and reappear, not moving particularly fast. I'm not a UFO expert. Could be a satellite or a meteor. Looking for help identifying. And we've assigned this to Bill McNeff, so I think this is the one where we've got two videos, I think. So yeah, we've got two videos in this. So I'm going to show you both videos. They're not very long. They're like 20, 30 seconds a piece, I think. You don't see a whole lot in them. You'll see a little bit in them. But what I think is kind of more interesting is you'll hear the comments of the witness. So as you're listening to the witness, ask yourself the question, does this sound like someone who's making it up, who staged it, who is having a phony thing? And I think it's both. I think they're both in the second video. You're going to hear a little comment that kind of goes, yeah, that person's from Minnesota. And there's also going to be an F-bomb dropped in the second video. So if you're offended by F-bombs, you might want to turn down because I'm not going to be able to mute out that one. It's very brief, but there's a brief F-bomb in the second video. So I want to give you that heads up. So here is video number one. And it is, yeah, it's just about 20 seconds. So we'll check that out.
It can't see it. It can't see it. Oh, wait, I can zoom in on it. Nope. Dude, you can zoom in on it. It has a tail. Dude, what is that, you guys?
Okay, that is the end of that one. So.
I can't see it.
Okay, so and actually that looks very similar to a lot of things we've been seeing lately. So I am beginning to really suspect that it is probably Starlink just clustered together like I showed you last month. But here's a second video, and prepare yourself for the F-bomb if you're sensitive to F-bombs. So.
Oh, sure did.
There's your Minnesota. Yeah, sure.
Right there, Amy. No, the first one was right there. Dude, what is that? Where'd it go? Dude!
Oh, I think that's the end of that one. So.
Yeah, sure did.
There's one more Yasher boot. So we'll revisit that case once it's been closed, but move on to the next case. 117577-U took place on August 25th of this year, 11:30 p.m. A circle was seen doing a maneuver in St. Paul. The saw object in the eastern sky then moved southwest at a point smaller. At that point, a smaller light emitted from the bottom of the bigger object, and the smaller light was jumping around. Looked out our upper deck level back window and saw this light in the eastern sky. It was moving in a southwest direction. As it was moving, it stopped, and the smaller light emerged from the bottom of the bigger light. The smaller light was moving in short bursts, staying under the larger light. The smaller light then went back up into the larger light. So Bill Auden has been assigned this one. It is in progress. I don't think Bill's on the call, so I don't think but we'll revisit this one when he has completed this one. So. Let's see. So moving on to case number 117413-U. Took place on August 17th, 2021 at 10 p.m. A star-like object was seen, anomaly 1, in Rochester. Witnessed a bright red pinkish star-like orb over downtown Rochester, Minnesota, moving slowly from northwest to southeast. Then it slowly faded away. So here's some segments of what they said. I was on my way to the gas station when I noticed what I've seen many times before, but never in Rochester. It was one of the orbs that I often see when going to the Treasure Island Casino along County Road 6. This one didn't change colors like the other ones often do. This orb was bright red in the middle and pinkish toward the outside. As soon as I saw it, I knew what it was. I can't be the only person in this area noticing these things. I encourage anybody else that has seen these things to document what you see and share your experiences in the comment section or file a report with MUFON. Yes, file a report with MUFON if you see similar things. So this has been assigned to Mike Semino. It is in progress. I don't think Mike is with us today, so but we will revisit this one when Mike has done his research, and he always does great research, and we will see what Mike comes up with. We'll revisit it at that point. Case number 117358-U took place on August 12th of this year at 8:30 p.m. Unknown shape anomaly 1 in Burnsville. Two bright headlights like a car that came on and off just west of MSP Airport. It hovered and then flew mostly south and then turned and seemed to go north. Two bright headlights like a car came off and seemed to go. Yeah, sometimes they just add the short into the detail of the long one. For about 10 minutes, slow and low. It was dusk and there was a red light on the back we could see when it turned. My thought was a police drone. It seemed too close to the airport for safety. We witnessed planes flying their routes at the same time. The object slowly made its way north and slightly west, which eventually put it behind a tree, and that was the end. A bit strange. I took video with my phone, but it was worthless compared to the eye. So this has been assigned to Anna Moss, and it's in progress. And I don't think I've seen Anna on the call today. She's usually here, but I haven't seen her today. So once Anna completes this one, we will revisit this case and tell you what she finds out. Case number 117283-U took place on August 13th, 2021. A lot of August this time. 9:58 p.m. An other was seen, CE1, close encounter of the first kind in St. Paul. This one is actually very interesting. 3 brownish spheres close together and arranged in a triangle shape connected by dark metallic struts. They put in the question mark, not me, they put in struts. So here's just a synopsis of what they said. Hanging out with friends in a garage, they noticed some orbs slowly moving into view and then came together to form a single object. He said he looked at it, he said it really looked like it was very CGI to him, like computer-generated imagery. Although he was looking at it live, he wasn't looking at it through a lens or a camera or a video. So he was seeing it live, but it looked very CGI to him. He said he actually became very confused for about 5 minutes. Then he made notes of the event and he drew a sketch of the object. He is near the MSP airport and sees a lot of air traffic, but nothing like this. So Mike Cimini and William Palmieri are both working on this one. And I've got the drawing for you. It's actually a very detailed drawing. I think you'll appreciate it. So we'll take a look at the picture that he submitted right now. So obviously very interesting drawing. So there's the orbs that came together, and he repeatedly mentioned how slowly they were moving. As they came together, he said they started to connect by these struts or metallic things. So those would be the bars that are in between. And so an artist rendition, 9:46 p.m. and he got some of his description down there too. So yeah. And then to do a close-up, I gave you a close-up on the drawing too. So here's a close-up of what he's looking at. So that really gives you a good look. So yeah, very unique and very unusual. So when we talk about shape was other, yeah, that doesn't neatly fall into a lot of the classifications that we have, like bullet or missile or star-like or sphere. Well, spheres, 3 spheres, so it's really different. And you notice he's talking about the rotation there. He's indicating how it was rotating. So, but he said the orbs were kind of brownish, which I think is kind of unusual and very slow moving. And he commented too, he was in a garage with a bunch of friends and he didn't call his friends out to see it. He kind of seemed to kind of stuck by it. Like, he kind of thought, oh, I should have called my friends out. I should have got my camera out. But this is what he submitted, which I think is a fantastic drawing. So it really gives you a good idea of what he was seeing. So, and that's what's up in Minnesota. So yeah.